Hi, and welcome to this tutorial on an extension called MOTE. MOTE is an extension that amplifies student feedback and really gives students some voice. So you're going to actually find this extension in your extension list. So if it's not listed like mine is here, you are going to want to go ahead and click on the puzzle piece. You should see MOTE. We've pushed that to all faculty and staff as well as students here at Hebron. And so you can go ahead and pin that to make sure that you have the MOTE icon readily accessible. So now what is MOTE? I did just mention that it amplifies feedback. Well, it's a verbal feedback tool that works within Google products. So you will see a MOTE icon for Google Classroom, Google Slides, Google Docs, Forms, Sheets, even Gmail. And what it does is it allows you to record your own voice to give students feedback or to allow students to collaborate. Now, we all know if we're working on the writing process and we're collaborating on something that it's harder to type our feedback. Whereas if we could just verbally articulate that, the person receiving it would not only get more feedback, they'd be able to hear our inflection. We'd be able to give the feedback a lot quicker. And since our students have weaker listening skills, we're actually kind of building those skills by giving them verbal feedback. In a class period, it would be great to be able to individually counsel a student one-on-one through the writing process, through a project, through any type of activity. But time just isn't there to have those one-on-one conferences. And so MOTE gives us a vehicle where the student is able to hear their teacher's voice, giving them that verbal feedback, giving them the emphasis that comes with their voice, the inflection, the trust, to grow better learners. And so it really does help teachers from a time standpoint as well get that really critical feedback to their students. Now, there are some students who also really need a read aloud a tool. They have read aloud requirements. And so this actually kind of evens the playing field when you use something like MOTE to provide feedback to students. It no longer becomes a stigma that a particular student has to use this tool because it's something that's being used in a whole class environment. So it helps build that learner confidence and doesn't single them out. So let's look at some classroom applications that we could immediately use MOTE for. I really see 3 different applications, and 2 are cross-curricular, and 1 is very specific to world language classes like Spanish and Latin. The first one is going to be feedback, and that's when you're doing the writing process, or maybe you're doing project checkpoints, or maybe you're even reviewing their homework and you want to give them feedback because you're finding a specific area where they're skipping a step. Let's pretend it's math, and they're missing that step in their homework. You can give them quick verbal feedback that they can play, that can be transcribed for them, and it saves you a lot of time. So let's look at what this could look like in a real situation. So this is a sample text that I have of a compare and contrast essay. And so here I've added in one MOTE comment that you can hear. And so rather than saying remove the 3 question marks and reduce it to just 1, I get to give them the feedback that, yes, I know they really want to emphasize this point. This was something that was a key takeaway. That was part of their hook. So I get to articulate that in my words so they know I understand that they might need to, that they're trying to emphasize, but maybe they need to do that with some different wording so that their wording is more dramatic to add the effect of 3 question marks. So if you're a teacher and you're going through and you're doing review editing, you would highlight the part that you want to add a MOTE comment to. And rather than typing your comment like you can, you're going to click on the MOTE icon. And this allows you to insert word, audio, feedback for your students. Check mark, it's going to go ahead and record my voice, and I will post the comment. So now the student can hear what I have to say about this particular part. So yes, I am still highlighting and using the comment feature, but by using MOTE, I can articulate it and give my own feedback with inflection, with explanation that might be hard to put into actual words when I'm typing. All right, so the project checkpoints you'll actually see when I talk a little bit more about collaboration. Now, when you're doing group projects, it's great to have face-to-face collaboration in class, but sometimes work has to happen outside of the class. And so MOTE can be a really good tool for students to use to collaborate before they write down what their final decision is. So as far as typing and erasing and typing, they give their verbal feedback, they do their brainstorm, and then they go ahead and compile that information into a group project. Now, collaboration could also come into play just like we saw here with teacher feedback. Imagine if this document was shared with a peer and the peer had to give feedback. They could read the entire compare and contrast essay. They could give general feedback with their words, or they could give feedback at the end of each paragraph, or similar to what the teacher's done here, they can do peer editing using MOTE. But what I'd really like to show you an example of is collaboration. And so here, I want students to work collaboratively on a choose your own adventure story. And so I have a template that they're going to work on, and they all have editing rights, so they can enter in all of their information. But you can imagine with 4 people working on this, it's going to get congested. So what students could do is they could highlight option 1, and they could add in their comment of where they would like the story to go. So I'm going to come over here. I got to scroll so I can see my MOTE. I think that it would be really cool if we could go to a cafe, because that allows the character to be able to order different options. And based on what they order, they might get sick, they might get a caffeine buzz, and they go crazy. So I think we could go in a lot of different ways with a cafe. And so the students give their own input, they can listen to the input of others, and then they finally decide where they're going to go. Okay, we're going to go to the cafe. And they work through the entire project collaborating. And this would be perfect just for outside of class. Like when you're in class working on a group project, have the face-to-face time. But this is an option for when they need to work outside of class. Now, what I did want to show you is if you build in checkpoints to group projects, this is a great way where they have to share the document, the planning template, or even the final project with you at the very beginning. So that way you have different checkpoints. Let's pretend this is a 4-week process, and every week I'm going to check in with them. Well, all I need to do is click on checkpoint 1, and I'm going to actually insert a comment. So I do need to highlight that. Let me do it this way. Okay. Insert comment. I come over here and go to MOTE. All right, guys, I really like the overall storyline, but I feel like you need to be 2 or 3 steps ahead at this point. So let's make sure we really firm up where they're going and what the 2 possible outcomes could be. So I've given them the feedback on checkpoint 1 that all members of the group can see. And so by this time, I think that they should have start the story in option 1 down pat. Now, maybe next week, I want them to have option 2 down pat. And then we finally kind of work through our last layer. I know mentally where I want them at each week, so I can quickly come in here and give them checkpoint feedback that the entire team can see. It was quick, it was easy. I can even encourage them of, I love this storyline. I can't wait to see where it goes. So definitely great. Let me go back there. Definitely great for collaboration, for feedback. But there is another really cool application of MOTE, and that is world languages. Now, in world languages, in Spanish and Latin, we want them producing the language. We want them speaking it. We wanting them to ask each other questions, to create their own questions, to respond to questions, to write, to speak, to add pictures, to listen, all of these skills. MOTE is an incredible tool because you can embed language activities that have student response as well. So let's take a look at what this could be. So this is a Google slide presentation that I would ask students to do. ¿Quién soy yo? Who am I? And so the requirement would be that the student put in a photo, that they give an introductory sentence, and then 3 sentences that follow. So here I have, hola, me llamo Sara, soy estudiante en una escuela privada, me gusta mucho la clase de español, no me gustan las matemáticas. Okay, so where does MOTE come in? This is shared with the class or with a team, with a group. And a group member has to come in here and in MOTE ask a question that Sarah is going to respond to. So let's practice this. I'm going to come in here and I am a peer. I am someone in Sarah's group and I need to ask her a question about what she's written here. And I have to do it in the language. So I'm going to go over here to MOTE. ¿Cómo se llama la escuela privada? All right, so now question 1 has been asked. I asked Sarah what is the name of her school. So now Sarah could come down here and say, La escuela se llama Hebron. Or she could use MOTE to respond verbally if you even wanted to. But do you see how here I had a student ask a question, and so they're using their language skills, and Sarah had to use her listening skills to be able to produce a response. So the formatting could be that I need one student to ask a question 1, question 2. Here's another slide where I have a different picture. And so she's written, soy de España, mi familia es de Barcelona, España, vivimos en un apartamento, tengo 2 hermanos y una mascota. So her group members are going to come over here. They're each going to ask her a question as a follow-up using MOTE. ¿Es tu apartamento grande o pequeño? They'll insert that. Sarah can listen to it. And another group member is going to ask question number 2. And they're going to say, ¿Es tu mascota un perro o un gato? And so now Sarah has 2 different questions that she has to listen to that her peers have come up with. She can respond in written format, or you could even have the student respond verbally. And as a teacher, what's really great is you come over here to the comment history and you can hear the entire dialogue. So you can hear the question that was asked and the student's response if you want them to respond verbally. So again, MOTE is incredible from a feedback standpoint. It's helpful when you're dealing with collaboration, and it can be a powerful world language tool. We really hope that you have enjoyed getting MOTE, that you're seeing all of the possibilities that you can use with this tool. Thanks for watching.